back on your time at Charterhouse and Harrow, I guess you'd like to say probably you left them in a better state than you found them, or you made some improvements. I mean, what's the right way to phrase that?
I probably like to listen. They were all in good condition whenever I've taken them over. I just think I look at it, we're custodians of what we're doing, and we're always striving to make it better for when the next person comes in, it's easier. So, you know, I'd like to think that I did improve things at Charterhouse, and again at Harrow, the process had started many years before I became grounds manager, and I'd like to think we'd always strive to make sure they're better there. I'd say the biggest thing for me probably at Charterhouse was we installed a new cricket square, which was, as much as I'd been involved with that at Harrow, this was my first real project. So we relayed the complete cricket square at Charterhouse, and that was a real good thing for me to do, but also for the school, because it was needed to really improve the standard of the square.
So with Eton then, without pushing you too hard, was part of the brief to reinvest in, you know, the surfaces perhaps and the turf? Was it something that the school felt might need some attention?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I asked the question, you know, is there any landscape plan or school development plans, there was quite a front with landscape plans. And I suppose they had sort of said, you know, the school have invested heavily in artificial surfaces and buildings, and probably hadn't done as much in sports, in natural sports turf effectively. So I sort of thought, well, that's quite a good thing to hear, because you sort of think, well, you can look at how your natural sports turf is and how you can try and push it forward and progress it. So as much as it's not straight on the pipe, you know, it's not happening straight away, I think that gives me the ability to look at our natural sports turf and see what we're lacking and see how we can improve things and install infrastructures that will help us and improve us going forward. I don't know when it would happen or if it would happen, but at least we've got something that we can look towards.
I want to talk to you about ambition. 34, you've worked at some very nice venues, shall we say. As you say, you might have been lucky, you might have been spoilt in some people's eyes. Where do you want your career to take you? And, you know, I appreciate you're going to do a stint now at Harrow. Is this the last job on the CV, or is there something else you're looking towards further down the line?
It's funny, because when I was leaving Harrow going to Charterhouse, it was like, where do you go next? And I suppose I looked at it, there was only one place I could really go to if I was going to, once I could really go to, or the other option would be unless there was a place that was really going to develop, you know, and change it around. So I suppose Eton was probably the only school I could really go to. I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I think if I decided I was going to leave here in 5 or 10 years' time, my missus might go mad. Because obviously she has been really supportive, and she's moved around and things like that. So yeah, for the next sort of 10, 15 years I see here as where I'm going to be. That takes me just short of 50. And you sort of think, oh, well, I could easily stay here for the rest of my working career, you know. But I would love to work abroad at some point. I don't know where, I don't know doing what, because it's not in my, you know, thinking now, but it is something that would interest me, working abroad.
It certainly seems to be something that oversees turf operations like UK Groundsman. There seems to be a recognition of, you know, the standards that our industry works to over here. And that does lead me actually nicely to another kind of question. In terms of the school sector in particular, and in particular the kind of sector that you're working in, where people are paying to send their children to public and privately operated schools, do you think the groundsmen and the grounds managers and the grounds staff get the kind of recognition for both the quality of their work and the surfaces that they're producing?
I personally think we don't get recognised probably as much as what others may do, because we're not on the telly week in, week out.
Right, okay.
I think, and the biggest thing that really probably frustrates me, it may not frustrate others, that me and my team, as much as many other school grounds managers and their team, all get paid to do this job. And as far as I'm concerned, we're all professionals. But I almost feel like we don't get recognised as that, or it doesn't come across like we get recognised as that, because we're not dealing in the professional sport world.
Right.
That's where the money is, technically, in terms of money coming in. But as you said, you've got parents spending a lot of money to send their kids here, and they're wanting services that are good enough that they're paying for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There could be more recognition for schools, colleges, ground, in terms of what they do and how they produce their surfaces.
Where from?
I think more with bodies, to be fair, recognition from bodies within the industry. Listen, I'm not going to bash the GMA. I think the GMA do a really, really good job, and they do try and they do invest, and they in terms of trying to make the industry better. I'm not going to say they don't, but I think there's times when we probably there could be that bit more support in terms of for that school network.
Okay.
And we sort of feel, I think we do. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think we do sort of get left alone, and then we get called upon when help's needed, as opposed to, let's work together. And listen, I also think with the facilities we have in terms of the full range, and this isn't Eton, lots of schools have these facilities.
Yeah.
They're good starting grounds and breeding grounds for new groundsmen, and especially trying to get youngsters through. And, I think there's some great initiatives out there, but sometimes we're not included in them because we haven't got a stadium of 60,000, next to us, or we've not got a cricket ground that's set up. There's some great schools and colleges that are hosting, second class cricket or some first class cricket, and you sort of look at it and you sort of think, does it get, because it's a school, does it not get recognised? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I do think more could be done within the school sector, and I think we're missing the boat a little bit with that. And I'm all for supporting things and getting involved with things, but sometimes it doesn't seem to be much comes back, or it's very slow to come back.
You're keen to get involved and help and get things moving in terms of the recognition for your sector. Do you get to talk to many other guys in similar positions to you in within that?
Yeah, I mean, we so when I was at Charterhouse, I was involved in a group of grounds managers from around the area, Whitgift and Cranley and RGS Guildford, Christ Hospital, Reeds, St Paul's, where we all sort of got together once a year and just had a general chat, really, and no formal meeting as such. But we spoke about what can we do, and we almost took the initiative on ourselves to do an event, which we did last year. Yeah, I hosted it at Charterhouse, but it was a collective group effort in terms of what could we do differently, and that didn't take us much to organise with the help and input of others. And ICL really do their school day every year, or independent school day every year, which is really, really good because you can get to see people and meet people and network again, and to have some really good seminar talks. But it just seems that it's lacking in other areas and other supporting networks. And we spoke about, I said like the GMA there, but you've also got bigger. You've got bigger that most private schools have golf courses, or I say some of them have golf courses, and you sort of think the bigger offer like membership, for example, as an individual, but don't do it as a group. And then it becomes very, very expensive within that school sector for everyone to have a membership. So I think, I do think them organisations, as much as their training is good with bigger BTME and bigger, really, really good training, Saltex has got better with their training and being indoors, really, really good. They're great. But when you come away from that and strip it back, it's generally aimed at certain areas as opposed to schools. Now, people will say, well, you just want it about schools. Well, I'm not saying just about schools, but it seems you either get the professional football, rugby, cricket, but you never get the professional schools. And then the same with the golf. It's aimed at golf, but then it's nothing stripped back and looked at, well, what else do we do?
I think perhaps you suffer from the fact that you are looking after so many different surfaces, but you're also not in a sport that is professional, shall we say. You guys are professional, but you're not state-run schools, and I think sometimes you get lumped into that by some people, not all. I think also, possibly, because of some of the names are well known in your sector, Harrow, Eton, Charterhouse being probably the three best known, but they're not necessarily up there when it comes to big sporting grounds that become iconic, shall we say. For Turfcare, I'm talking here, yeah? Iconic in terms of education, not necessarily iconic in terms of Turfcare. How you change that is an ongoing battle, I think. And I think that's certainly something we'd love to talk to you about. And I know we've discussed it at the summit. It's something that, is a passion of yours. Obviously, recognition is a bugbear. But if there was one other thing that you could change or you would like to change, what would it be in your sector in particular?
I mean, to be honest, I think you said it in the question, really. I think it's the recognition of what we do and trying to be put into the same, maybe not the same bracket, but not be forgotten about. I think it's really easy to be forgotten about without people realising it.
Sure.
Again, when you talk about professional, it gets about professional this, professional that. You think, well, I just don't work in the professional game.
Yeah.
You sort of look at it and you go, well, you've got your professional game, and then you get your volunteers, and you sort of think, well, where are we then? Because I would say we're professional, but there isn't that bracket for it. And that's probably the biggest thing for me, where we could really be better, because like I said before, we've got every single service here where someone could come here, learn what they wanted to learn, a specific area, before moving on into the echelons of wherever they wanted to go, whether that was football, rugby, cricket, horse racing, maybe, there's all golf. You get a real grounding here in terms of where you want to go and what you want to move into.
Was no better demonstration than your predecessor, Dave Roberts, who left Charterhouse and he came from football into Charterhouse from Southampton, and then he went to Liverpool. If you're going to go to a job like that, you've got to be fairly good at your job, haven't you? So
most definitely.
Okay, Lee. Lee, it's been fascinating catching up with you. I think you're obviously a guy that cares deeply about what he does and is passionate. And we wish you all the success over the coming few years up until your 50s at Eton there. And we look forward to catching up with you again real soon.
Lovely, brilliant. Thank you very much.